Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thanks for joining us here today on SpeedGaming for another Link to the Past Randomizer main tournament, a round of 64 match between Magnit Handz and hydrapower. I'm Sabotender, joined by my good buddy Reg. Reg, how you doing today?
I am doing good. We've got game 2 of this one on our hands. Game 1, it kind of funneled the runners into last locations that Magnet Hand came out on top of. Kind of spiraled out of control, but outside of last locationing things, I think Hydropower played the first game pretty well and gave us a lot of reason to think that this race should be good, even though he lost there. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Two really great runners here. Yeah, we're looking to see a really exciting game. Today we've drawn the faux 80 keys game mode. So we're going to be doing all dungeons. Keys are shuffled around except for the Castle Tower keys and the Ganon's Tower big key.
Yep. Those castle tower keys are a really obnoxious thing to have to hunt down in regular all dungeons keys. So we stuck them in the castle tower. And similarly, Ganon's Tower big key gonna be somewhere in the Ganon's Tower basement, just like with most other modes. And we've got the divergence here off the bat. Looks like Magnet's gonna go for Houlihan. I think he did this in game 1 too, actually. And Hydropower going for Uncle.
Yeah, you definitely you get into a mindset where you just keep doing the same thing to start a seed. I tend to follow Hydropower's example here, and I'm definitely an Uncle router pretty early on in most seeds.
Yeah, and I know that the Houlihan start is more common in Key Sanity than in other modes, as Hydropower gets rewarded right away. I do want to note that the game 1 between these two was a map compass boss shuffle. So I think Magnet Hands just sees extra items in dungeons, maybe likes the Houlihan start just on account of that.
Mm-hmm. And thanks to everyone joining from the ALTTPR randomizer channel. Welcome, welcome. This one is just underway, so you haven't missed much yet. It's an exciting game 2 between Hydropower and Magnit Handz here.
Yep, and we already saw Hydropower get the fluid off the Uncle, but we see Magnet going up there is not going to miss that either. Both runners going to have that going into the village. So fast travel is free today.
Very nice. And just a shout out to our tracker today. It's Demons Druid behind the scenes clicking those buttons. We appreciate you doing that for us, buddy.
Yeah, especially with just a race like this, we can just look down at the tracker and just talk. It's real nice, so thank you.
Yeah, that added component of throwing up the keys on there as well gives the tracker a bit of extra work to do, so we really appreciate that.
That is a very scary small key there on that lumberjack. Need sword, lamp, second sword or cape, and then boots to be able to pull that. With the Aga Tower key is going to be vanilla, but we don't know what it is. We might not need it.
Yeah, I guess with the Castle Tower keys pulled out of the shuffle there, or at least kind of put in their vanilla location, those can't be up there obviously, but there's still a few small keys that we might need that key could come into play. And when you see a small key on the lumberjack ledge, it always kind of makes your heart sink a little bit.
Yeah, because on one hand, it could be something like... I think we saw a crystal there on Eastern Palace on the map check. But a small key on Lumberjack could be something like just Skull Woods or Tower of Hera that you don't really need. Or it could be something like Turtle Rock or Swamp Palace where you absolutely need it.
Yeah, definitely. So we also picked up the Cane of Samaria there in the Thieves' Hideout there, so another nice little item to have an offensive weapon here, so yeah, nice little start.
Yeah, if nothing else, it kills many Moldorms without needing to use bombs, which both runners only on the 3 right now, probably gonna buy some on their way out of the village unless they pick up a bunch. But just a nice alternative to those bombs. Not limited to 10, just limited by the magic bar instead. And then
All
we see here
right.
actually, Hydropower pretty good on funds. Kind of makes the Houlihan play from Magnit not as not as good as it could have been, let's say.
Yeah, you definitely get the thinking behind a Houlihan play because I mean, yeah, if this was a rupee poor kind of seed at the start, the extra cash always comes in handy. But the seed's been very generous so far, so we're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, like, we had that 100 in blinds hideout, but even just the red rupees on the bush crabs, super nice for money. And there are some bombs for Hydra there. Just getting that partial refill out of the well.
Okay, a Turtle Rock small key there, and the cape. So, yeah, nothing too crazy yet.
Yeah, Turtle Rock is... Well, we have 2 now. We guaranteed need at least 3 of them. The 4th one is kind of logical implications and maybe kind of a fetch quest for that lava chest in the middle of the dungeon. But you need 3 to get to the boss. And we've got 1 pod key as well out of 6, so we're going to be seeing plenty of those at some point.
Yeah, Turtle Rock always feels like you're just praying that like 3 will be enough. You don't want to have to deal with Lava Island at any point. All right, we
Oh,
find a glove here in the chicken hut. Very cool.
that is actually the first thing we have found that really actually immediately unlocks checks for us. Let's just get back into the back of the sewers.
We might see that come into play right away. A lot of runners tend to go for that spot right after we grab gloves, so especially early on at least.
Yeah, the only complication there is we already have the flute, so instead of saving and quitting to Link's house to get down to the dam in the southern area, you would typically want to just flute to 7. Oh, and chat right, flute opens up inside Spectacle Rock as 1 check. Sorry.
That's a pretty nice opening. We've got lots of cash. We've got some items that can help us navigate the game a little bit. So pretty decent start. We're not like scrambling for things to do. We've got a bunch of different options here.
Yeah, and I mean, never gonna say no to a Sphere 1 flute, especially in one of these longer modes. And just
Yeah.
all dungeons in general hard require it. There is actually a save and quit from Hydrapower, not fluting away from the village. Gonna go grab those back sewers chests right away.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people just go right for back of escape if they've got that glove. But I mean, you got no better time to do it than right now, early on.
Yeah, it's like any save and quit is really the closest you'll ever be to it, especially when you haven't rescued the old man on Death Mountain yet, so you don't have that spot. But like we see Magnit here using the flute, actually going to 5, the Eastern Palace area. Gonna get green pendant information off Sahasrara as well as 3 chests in the back. I kinda doubt he dips into the dungeon, but not a terrible idea either. I don't think.
Yeah, with 80 keys, you have to be kind of like willing to maybe take a dive into a dungeon that you can't complete. So we could see it here, but he's pulling out the flute already, so maybe not the case.
Yeah, probably not with the flute already out. Probably just gonna join Hydrapower at the dam with, oh, the save and quit actually. So this
So
is
now
probably
he's
gonna
gonna
be,
do back of escape.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, back of escape and then join Hydrapower on the South Shore area with that green pendant at Palace of Darkness information in his hand.
And it looks like Desert Palace is also a pendant, according to chat and our tracker.
Yep. And that's an interesting one just because that small key for Desert Palace blocks... Logically, it blocks the boss plus 2 items. Practically, it's just 2 items. But with that being a pendant, that small key could be pretty much anywhere, and who knows what it's blocking over there. Decent odds it's not very much.
Mm-hmm. As we pick up the Titan's mitts here in the mini Moldorm cave.
Hey, Titan's mitts, but no boots, no Moon Pearl to take advantage of them quite yet. That's a little unfortunate. But we'll be seeing those before long, I'm sure. One of them at least.
Yeah, right side desert is kind of a funny one in a key shuffle mode. Like, do you gamble and steal the key out of the back to maybe get a peek at what those 2 items could be? You could throw out your logic entirely, and it might kind of backfire on you. But it's an interesting, got little quirk of a keys mode is to consider different things like that. And hey, Moon Pearl in Ice Rod Cave here.
Yeah, Hydrapower might take the fake flipper route. Looks like a no on that one. But it's going to make Misery Mire his first stop in the Dark World. Very quick 2 items in the shed here.
I guess we'll also get, medallion knowledge here. So Quake needed to get into Misery Mire today.
Yep, so we'll find that somewhere. This is all dungeons, and that does include all of them, pendants, crystals, and castle tower. Nothing in the shed, and have to save and quit out of here because no mirror to get back to the desert area.
So yeah, with the Mitts and Pearl combo, I think the game is pretty wide open at this point. Lots of different things for our runners to do. So we're hoping to see a little bit of divergence. Maybe there's some opportunities for that to pop up here.
Yeah, it's... Divergence is a little bit more difficult when your only Dark World access is the portal up there, but the water checks are a good spot for it right now on Magnet's side.
And he's got the cash to actually pay out Zora as well. So he's looking at flute as well here. So
Well, if you're gonna fake flipper, you just flute to 8 because you don't have the boots for water walk.
I was just yeah, exactly right.
But nope, gonna be Mire area for Magnit as well. I believe we saw a crystal up at Skull Woods on that map.
Yes, I saw that as well.
Now here's a question for Hydrapower. There's no way Hydrapower goes to the back here with only Samaria to hurt blind and, like, what is that, a 6th of a magic bar? Not even?
Yeah, he'd have to be quite the mad lad to go for it, I think.
Yeah, it's not enough magic to kill blind. But the front 4 of Thieves Town, even without the big key in hand, is a very fast and common play for all sorts of runners. Also, we are seeing on Hydrapower's display there, we do have a crystal in Thieves Town as well. Got the map somewhere for that, I didn't notice. We do have Divergence though, Magnet rescuing the old man. And Hydra, yeah, taking the Death Warp out of Thieves Town here.
These dark rooms without any kind of guiding weapon can be a little bit tricky, but it looks like Magnet's pulled it off no problem here.
Yeah, Magnit was using the bombs to position himself in the dark room a little bit there, which was he was doing a good job with that, but also didn't want to use up all his bombs, so kind of stopped that towards the end. I think the most exciting thing we've pulled out of the Dark World so far on Hydrapower side is what that Ice Palace big key that was in the front of Thieves Town.
Yeah, other than that, really not too much happening.
Yeah, and that big key is somewhat interesting. It means a lot more to the logic than it does to the actual completion, because we can sequence break around it either with a bomb jump or with the Cane of Samaria. But it just means you don't have to leave that big chest behind.
I think that's the biggest takeaway there, is that it's that peace of mind when you're going into Ice Palace that you're not going to have to go back and dig out something from the big chest at some point later on.
Yeah, having to double dip Ice Palace specifically for the big chest has been a thing basically since the inception of Key Sanity.
Yeah.
And we saw on the map there on Magnit side, that was actually a 5/6 red crystal at Thieves Town, so that's our other one there.
Oh, okay.
Which means that as soon as we figure out our last pendant via the map pickups here, we will have complete information.
Yeah, it doesn't happen too often that the info is immediately apparent to us for a Key Sanity seed, so that's interesting.
Yeah, but at the same time, we're going to see on Hydra's side not too far from now the ability. Well, I say we're going to see it, but he'll have the ability to check the bomb shop, which will tell us that Thieves Town is a red crystal as well if he didn't just see it on his map. So we're not actually going to see that bomb shop check now. He doesn't need the information. But could have gotten it that way as well.
Ooh, and our first sword there hanging out in the middle section of Skull Woods here.
Not going to be able to go back and just kill the moth with that right away. We need Fire Rod still, but that is something that Hydrapower just skipped straight up. Might go back for it, especially because he'll be right next to it next time he goes to the Dark World as well with no hammer in sight. But it's going to be pretty good for Magnit. Might incentivize him to go to the back of Thieves Town here. Of course, small key to Thieves Town in Hype Cave. Little bit questionable going to the back without that, even without the hammer.
Yeah, Hydra also picking up the hook shot in there, though, so that opens up a lot of the mountain for him.
Yep. Got all the Light World checks, Paradox Cave, Spiral Cave, but also with the mitts can get everything on the Dark World side as well, on the east side at least. Turtle Rock excluded, but Super Bunny plus Hookshot Cave is still 6 more checks.
Just gotta deal with dropping off the smith here first before making that venture up the mountain there.
Yep, but with the flute, it's going to be real easy either way. Oh, flippers. And Magnit, meanwhile, getting Tower of Hera Big Key. Hydra doesn't actually have access to Tower of Hera right now, and he's not going there anyways. This is actually going to be the flipper checks. But if Hydra were to go to the mountain, not having that big key wouldn't necessarily punish him unless we find hammer or mirror.
Yeah, that's right. And a lot of runners can get around the big key in Hera by using the Hera pot skip there. But that leaves that one chest there, the big chest, unchecked, which is another one of those things that's always going to be in the back of your mind if you do skip it in a run like this.
Yeah, especially since it's just kind of a pain to get back to. Because without the mirror, you have to go all the way, circle all the way around the mountain, and it's just... it feels bad.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, we see Hydra continuing to avoid the mountain. Magnit taking the save and quit point just because that's the easiest way to get the refill and then flute. And I guess this is going to be the lower dark... Well, I say lower, but Village of Outcast region, the general Dark World for Magnit.
Right, right. That kind of like that south loop for the Dark World.
Yeah, and honestly... Well, I was about to say I might expect him to take it all the way up to Catfish, but no, he's not going to do that just because the flippers weren't in Hype Cave, they were on the Smith. So not really an option for him.
Yeah, he'd have to do things like in a very interesting order to score those flippers before Hype Cave, I would say, so... Oh, so Hydra just got all that cash out of Saha's hut, so now going back for Zora and Waterfall checks, it looks like here.
Yeah, and I think this makes a lot of sense. You flute to 8, you can do them whenever you want, and then flippers just means you don't have to worry about logic or anything. They're just all there available. But I do think trying to prioritize the flippers for Hydra is a good play. Just puts him deeper into the logic and does find him a sword. Also, someone in chat saying, looking forward to Sword Go mode in 45 minutes. Unfortunately, that's not going to be a thing, I don't think. But even if it was, 45 minutes for an All Dungeons Keys is an incredibly generous estimate. So, we are probably looking to just settle in and get cozy here for at least another hour and a half, would be my guess. Just based on averages, but finding that bow might drag it down a little bit.
Yeah, we're finding a lot of pieces here. We're a little bit lean on keys, you know, to be honest at this point here. But, you know, items to complete things looking okay at this point.
Yeah,
or at least getting better, I guess. We're finding items, you know, which is nice.
Right. The hammer is definitely the big miss so far, but mirror fire rod would also be pretty nice. And the keys will presumably just kind of trickle in, you know?
Yeah, plus now Hydra's starting the big, you know, Death Mountain kick here, where we're gonna see quite a lot of checks. This should kind of fill out the rest of the roster here. We'll see if we get more items or if we get more keys. That might give us an idea of where to go next.
Yeah, because broadly speaking, we've covered most all of the overworld here. Like, we've missed a couple of individual checks that are more painful to get to. Like, we've missed Bumper Ledge, we've missed Pyramid, we've missed Catfish, for example. But overall, between the two runners especially, we have covered a lot of ground so far. Now, where's Hydra going? Oh, turn in that mushroom right away. Not considering holding on to it for a potential fake powder play.
Pretty nice. Quake Medallion, which we know opens Misery Mire. We don't know the status of what'll open TR at this point, but oh, and he's gonna go use it right away?
Looks like this is just gonna be a Gina Cave check, which is also interesting.
Alright, I don't know about this one, but I was on board with a lot of Hydra's plays so far, but I don't know.
My take is that going into Misery Mire here would be a very, very bold play. Like
no, I thought he was going to go up the mountain right away, but still holding off them. I wonder what he's waiting for when it comes to mountain play. Like, are we waiting for the hammer to drop? Like,
yeah, but at this point, it's just most reasonable to think the hammer is probably on the mountain.
That's
I'm
what I would
guessing.
assume. Yeah.
I'm guessing he probably just wanted to scratch off some of those earlier one-off checks, just to make sure it wasn't.
That is, that is true. That is a way to approach it, just to get all of your lower area high roll checks before heading up the mountain, because the mountain is a commitment, especially without a mirror or that kind of access to the mountain. It is a commitment of time.
Yeah, and just having to climb the mountain more than once or twice doesn't really feel great. Like, if you have to do it a third time, if you have to come back even a fourth or a fifth, that's just even worse. So you want to minimize the number of times you got to do this, because it is not very fast.
Yeah, totally. So Magnit Handz wrapping up kind of the south side of the Dark World here. He's got the blacksmith in tow here, but will not get the flippers until after this set of checks here.
Yeah, I kind of wonder. I mean, obviously Magnet's going to turn into Smith next, but rush water checks, rush mountain after that. Either one is pretty reasonable. Big key to Eastern. That is now a fully completable dungeon. Not 100% in logic, but mirror real nice too.
Yeah, definitely some good pieces here.
Yeah, and that mirror is the Tower of Hera access, where Magnit Handz has that big key and hydrapower doesn't.
Yeah, if Hydra does stay on the mountain and wants to do Hera, I think he'll be okay with skipping the big chest there and just hoping for the best. But when Magnit does get up here, we'll get a look at what that chest might actually be.
Yeah, and then we'll learn whether or not hydrapower is going to need to find his way back there sooner than later for it, but you will get a dungeon clear out of it regardless of what's in that big chest, at least. The other nice thing about the mirror here is actually, because Hydra's going to go to the Dark World next, can use the mirror to get back to the Light World just on the right side of that bridge to get to Hera without having to climb the mountain again. So that's not too bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Looks like it's the water checks for Magnit, so gonna get that second sword, gonna get that bow, gonna get the mushroom as well.
Yeah, it must be the lack of hammer/mirror that has our runners just hesitating ever so slightly on a mountain play, which is why we saw Hydra hold off and Magnit kind of doing all of these other lower area high roll checks as well.
Yeah, because it's like we said earlier, climbing the mountain is slow, and if you can reduce it by one trip, then you're saving like a minute and a half or so.
Yeah, easily. So I mean those add up in a seed like this that goes on a little bit longer, and if you can cut that kind of stuff out of your routing, then all the better for you.
Yep. And we did see on Hydrapower's side there, we do need Quake for Mire and Bombos for Turtle Rock. Let's see if it's right under the mat again.
Yeah, isn't that always the way?
It was the way between these two in Game 1, where the Turtle Rock Medallion was technically their go mode item, but it was just right here in Hookshot Cave. Big key to Skull Woods is just a fetch quest key, but that is something to draw Hydrapower back there for that other sword.
Yeah, with Magnit having checked Skullwoods out earlier, not super inclined to head back there at any time unless we, I guess, stumble upon a fire rod very quickly.
Yep, and we do see Hydrapower here taking that Eastern Big Key, going right there. Not going to bother with Tower of Hera.
That's one of those moves where you're like, maybe at some point Hydra's been burned by that big key in Hera in a key's seed of some sort, because that kind of stuff like sticks with you. You're like, I'm never gonna rush Hera again without that big key. So, he's got a dungeon he can complete. Let's do this one instead. Let's not worry about more stress.
Yeah, and then the other side of that also is that the mirror being the Tower of Hera access does mean that you can just go straight up the west side of the mountain to get there. It's still not super quick, but it's faster than climbing Paradox Cave like Magnit's about to do.
Right, yeah, going at it from that angle would be much longer, but yeah, mirror makes that a lot easier, just going, as you say, west side.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Eastern Palace here, these are actually Sphere 1 checks, and we saw a bottle in the cannonball chest there. So that's a potential fetch quest for us right there. And the little scene Paradox Cave shop from Magnit Handz identified that he was low on bombs and just grabbing a refill. And yeah, Magnit now getting his Eastern Big Key, will get his mirror in the next chest. Hydra getting the baby shield there. Okay, Magnit just doing chests out of order to make a liar out of me. I love it. Now this is the one part of Eastern Palace that is... Well, I say the one part, but really the boss isn't either. The dark rooms of Eastern Palace. Hydra, especially with the sword in hand, no difficulty whatsoever doing these rooms. The logic, you're going to find a lamp before doing this one, and it's a lamp or a fire rod before the boss. Either one works for that because of the torches.
Yeah, it's pretty common for runners to navigate these dark rooms. Most have the patterns memorized, or at least know the layout of the rooms. That is, and if you're committing to an Eastern Palace play, you might as well go all the way and finish out the dungeon. But yeah, we're still waiting on some fire source to drop at this point. It's been a little while since we haven't seen one yet.
Speaking of fire sources, we're now on all three Misery Mire's small keys. Normally this is what logically locks runners out of the west side of the dungeon, but that is the same part of the dungeon that needs fire.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I mean, a Misery Mire play is actually looking kind of reasonable to me right now, even without fire. I do want to see
certainly looking a lot better,
though.
yeah.
Because we've cleaned up the mountain, and I mean that mirror is nice, but the checks that it unlocks are kind of annoying, to be honest with you, at least in my opinion.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I'm also looking at the idea of doing Castle Tower. Oh, we're at no fire source. Oh, we can't do that. Shoot.
Yeah.
I thought I was onto something there.
Yeah. No fire source, and I mean no boots either to get that small key on the lumberjack. So
I was thinking we were doing like East Dark World access to get into like a pod or something for like a really goofy hammer of some sort. But yeah, without that fire source, we're even more limited. So yeah, things like Mire certainly climbing up the ladder here.
Well, we do have the flippers to give us East Dark World access.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the best way to get there, I guess, is, especially with our
Yeah.
access right now to the Dark World.
Like, what I'm expecting Hydrapower to do here is do Skull Woods, especially with that big key that he found, and then do Bumper Ledge, Graveyard Ledge, and then just swim across Catfish Pyramid Pod.
Yeah, actually, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Pod is the questionable part of that route with only one small key, no big key, no hammer. We're getting back to Thieves Town first, actually. And Magnet Handz walking across that bridge in the Dark World is going to show us Tower of Hera.
Now, Thieves Town is the second of our 5-6 crystals, and given that we've already finished off Eastern Palace, that'll be both of those done. So we could, at least have the bomb fairy in, in our back pocket at this point, even though we can't quite get to it easily.
Yeah, it would require some manner of duplication trickery with swimming, I think, to get the Pyramid Fairy at this point. We do have Terrapot there for Magnet Handz.
Yeah, very nicely done.
Small key to ice. Ultimately, I would say that's far more of a nice to have than something that these runners would actually need. Ice Palace has an absolute plethora of keys under pots available. But that does
Yeah.
make routing pretty smooth, especially with the Icebreaker.
Yeah, as you say, definitely a nice to have if you're going into the dungeon there. But, yeah, not necessarily required. So if, I guess Hydra's going to pick up the Hera big key before he gets back there. He'll probably score that small key anyways at some point.
Oh, and the book as the reward with that ether tablet right outside. That's a pretty convenient spot for it.
That's interesting.
And the other big unlock of the book is the Bondo's tablet, which we've got the mirror, we can reach it, just gotta walk our way down there.
That's a little disappointing, you gotta say, seeing a map drop down there. But at least we'll know what Turtle Rock is.
Yeah, I mean, we're down to what? Swamp Ice Turtle Rock is our last unknown, so one of those three is a pendant. Now here, it's as chat is saying right now, oh, sword on the boss there. All of the checks that Hydrapower got out of Thieves Town here are in logic with the big key plus small key in hand. But Hydra did come into this dungeon knowing that unless he found the hammer somewhere, he was leaving a check behind. And lo and behold, no hammer to be found.
Alrighty, so we have a bottle here, so we're going to check Sick Kid for the first time. Big 20.
Not really what you're wanting to see, but it is what it is. The junk's got to be somewhere.
Alright, so Hydra looking to do Tower of Hera as well.
Hydra is still missing that big key, though, ain't he? I thought that was in
He
Skull
is.
Woods.
Yes, he has not gone to Skullwoods at all yet.
Yeah. Good news is only going to miss out on that Ice Palace small key. Bad news is that is still a location that could potentially draw him back, and that would take a fair bit of time. Meanwhile, we've got Magnet Handz here just kind of tearing through Eastern Palace at pretty much the same rate Hydrapower did earlier. Unfortunately, aside from potentially that shovel that's still an unknown for us, not too much of value here. Crystal far more so than anything else. Hydrapower is taking the drop for the big chest. The no big key means he's not actually going to grab it.
Yeah, in chat talking about pod small keys there. It's definitely one of the reasons why we're not seeing our runners rush over to that location, even though it is an item dense dungeon. There's a lot of keys involved getting through it. So with only one small, you're really not thinking about pod too much. But I mean, with our checks kind of dwindling here, it's either that or it's a strange kind of like half dip into Misery Mire. So our runners are running out of like fun stuff to do and have to make some hard calls on some less fun options.
Yeah, with one pod small key and no hammer, you can't actually get to the back. You have to open up that front door, which means you can get just the shooter chest, the bridge, and the Stalfos drop down. In addition to the two on the right with the bow.
Yeah, the like strange lack of pod keys so far. I'm wondering if there's one that they're just going to find in there right away.
I mean,
help them get a little further in, perhaps.
Pod keys in pod are one of the staples of Key Sanity.
Yeah. Alrighty, Magnit finishing up the Armos Knights there. Missed a little bit of the quick kill, but cleaned it up pretty nicely there.
Yep. And now it is finally going to be Skull Woods for Hydra. Where's Magnit going? Oh, Sick Kid check first and foremost.
I wonder if Magnet's got enough pieces to want to do the back half of Smith Chain, so like the chest, Cave 45, shovel spot, which we can check now, and then the Bombos tablet. That's a nice little, 4 or 5 checks there.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that is probably just as appealing as the route that I was thinking about earlier of like bumper leg, graveyard ledge, catfish.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw on the map there, Turtle Rock Pendant. So, Bombos could now be pretty much anywhere outside of TR itself.
Oh, yeah, right.
And
wow,
nice
they get a little high five there. Yeah.
Of course, Hydra has still kind of got to do the rest of the dungeon while Magnet's now leaving it. But for a second there, they were in sync and it looked very nice.
Alright, so Magnit is taking your advice there, Reg, and doing this north side, and likely over to Catfish at the end, and then even further on down to Pod from there.
Yeah, definitely onto the pyramid, I would say. Pod is a bit more questionable just because of the complete lack of keys, but we still got a couple checks for things to show up. That half magic ain't exactly it, but it's still very nice. No, just Graveyard Ledge there, not following it across to Catfish. And are we gonna have... Well, this is probably gonna be Desert before Mire for both. But we're back in sync here.
Yeah, I think for the first time since the start of the race, really.
Yeah, because even just at the very start, Magnet Handz opened up Hula Hand, which even when they were following the Sphere 1 route, that put him behind by about a minute or so.
Yeah, it's a little hard to tell who's got the advantage. I feel like Hydra's routing has worked out a little bit better for him, and he's got the Thieves Town finish, or Crystal as well, kind of in his back pocket there. But still a lot of race to go here.
Yep, and we're finally seeing another pod small key there in Desert, which is all we can actually do in this dungeon with no keys, no boots. Magnet's going to see a big key here on this torch, though. Well, that's something we'll have to come back for.
Yeah, another tough spot for to see a key hanging out, because it could be something big or it could be nothing at all. As we're seeing in chat there, yeah, it could be the Swamp Palace big key, and you know that's definitely a check that you'd be skipping, but it doesn't require it to finish the dungeon.
Yeah, looks like Hydrapower is actually going to go into Mire here. Magnet's looking to go digging. I am kind of surprised that Magnet's not taking the Dark World portal to grab the purple chest, as you kind of detailed earlier here. But just wants to rush that dig spot as quick as he can.
Could be a little bit of just frustration setting in that there's just so many bad options on the table for our runners here.
Yeah, I mean, we're in Misery and Mire with no fire, no big key on Hydra's side. That never feels great.
Yeah, even when you kind of expect some level of double dipping, like this is not the ideal setup for a Mire dive.
Yeah, we see Hydrapower there not going for the usual bridge first play. Instead, gonna use one of those small keys he's got to start with the lobby chest.
Yeah, given that unless we find a fire source in one of these chests, that's the right way to route this dungeon. You always kind of forget. Desert Palace, big key. Okay, cool.
That is exactly one check right now. Can't go kill the boss without fire, though. It all comes back to that.
Yeah, we're still missing. Yeah, Lamp or Fire Rod have not shown up at all.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm kind of looking... Is it even worth talking about what we're still missing for Go Mode, or is it just still too much to worry about that conversation?
It feels like there's still too much, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just on the item side, it's like 2 rods, boots, and hammer, and bombos. Which, 5 items doesn't sound completely awful, but that doesn't get anywhere near the key situation. Actually, chat bringing up a good point. That front of Escape, the castle dungeon, has just not been touched at all. So that's 4 items right there.
Yeah, that feels like... something's going to get routed in with the pyramid and whatnot, but no one's made the leap over to the East Dark World at all. So we haven't seen any kind of action on that stuff. Yeah, front of escape is a tough one to find the right time to route in, and really it's when you're doing pyramid check or the big bomb.
That's when you get a weapon off Uncle and you do it at the 1 minute mark.
That's the best time. Yeah.
So that desert big key not turning out anything for hydropower here. Back to the dark world, I guess. Is he gonna take the north route, south route? Which one?
Yeah, right. You got to do one of them at this point.
The good news is that either one can swim across to the pyramid area. You either swim across the dark lake or you swim across the river in the north. But it looks like Hydra's going for the north. No, never mind. I'm silly.
They're just subverting our expectations at every moment here.
Meanwhile, Magnit runners are actually kind of on top of each other again. Magnit killing blind here, getting that third sword for himself. And that will equalize the crystal count for now. But actually, Magnet's already done the North Dark World. This could be purple chest into like K45 for him as well.
I think it seems pretty reasonable, yeah.
And of course, both runners have isolated that Thief Town big chest.
Ooh, that's a rough key to find. Yuck. Power of Hera, small key. Gross.
Yeah, you
Again,
never.
we can't even do it. We can't. There's no fire, but yuck. To have to even think about jumping back into that dungeon. No.
Yeah, like that. I would imagine that that's pretty much every runner's least favorite key.
But yeah, unless you get that thing first thing, and you can, route it. Even when you have full access to Hera early on and all the keys in your inventory, you still don't even like to do that check. It's a terrible spot.
Right, just slow to get to, slow to do. Usually junk, but very memorable because everybody tries to skip it anyways. Anyways, purple chest time for hydropower here. I'm pretty sure hydropower already had 10 bombs, unfortunately, so that pack not really doing anything.
Dang. All of these pieces they're finding are brutal. Can't do anything with that key, right? Like, ugh.
Right, it doesn't open up anything new for us right now, but honestly, finding a pendant big key like that is pretty reassuring because, well, we have to hunt the Ganon's Tower basement for the Ganon's Tower big key, but we don't want to be hunting it past that if we don't have to.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's nice to have, for sure.
Of course, though, Desert Palace and Palace of Darkness big keys are still outstanding, so those being our other pendants. And Magnet's gonna go dip Swamp with no small key. Like, people say first chest Swamp to typically mean the first one after the key door, but in Key Sanity it is quite a bit more literal.
Yeah, actually this first one here, yeah. So, you know what? I mean, you've got so few good plays, and you're down in this neck of the woods anyways. I guess just give it a shot. See if it might be the thing.
Yeah, and this isn't too bad to, like, obviously pulling the dam is a bit slow. Hey, that's nice, but it's another doesn't do anything for us right now. But it is still the ice rod.
It is. This seed feels like it's definitely going to be just awful until it's not, and then it's just going to be like a sprint to the finish.
Yeah, it's definitely building up towards that right now with just the way that it keeps giving us all the items that will apply later but don't help us right now. Magnet Hands is going to dip Mire for us, but still no fire means not going to get anything Hydrapower wasn't able to.
And Hydra finally taking the swim across over to the east side of the Dark World here. So we're going to get Catfish for the first time. And then, with 2 pod smalls, you got to think that, okay, I can get somewhere in Palace of Darkness.
Yeah, I expect to see Pyramid and Escape first, but especially
yeah.
if all of that is empty, then yeah, Pod next for sure, I think.
Wow. Bugnet. Sweet.
It's a Y item.
Hey, yeah, it sure is.
It has the very dubious distinction of being the item that doesn't appear on the SpeedGaming tracker to make room for Castle Tower and Ganon's Tower for the key sanity.
So, no buttons to click for our boy Demon's Druid behind the scenes there.
Not for that one, unfortunately.
So some more new stuff from Hydra here. So we're going to get the Pyramid Ledge here, and then Mirror to escape, and then Pod after that. Oh, small key. Ugh.
This could be Pod Small Key. Nope.
Of course not.
Skull Woods. Logic dictates that we find all 3 before killing Mothula, but we literally do not need any, even if we're just routing the dungeon conventionally.
Yeah, right.
And welcome back to Sphere 1, ladies and gentlemen. We're going for the first chest in the castle. And then the other 2 after that.
I mean, there was never a good time to come over and do a front of escape. It's just the way that everything kind of played out for both of our runners. But if something is here, they're gonna feel bad about having left it behind, when they could have had access to it super early.
Yeah, because it's one of those things, like I said, that map chest that Hydrapower just pulled is Sphere 1 check. You can get that from minute 0 with nothing. The other 2 checks here, the Boomerang chest and the Zelda cell, they're actually logically blocked by the Hyrule Castle small key, which we have found. But that's only a logical block. These are also pretty much available from minute 0 without any real worries. And yeah, Hydrapower with the shuffled small key, not even grabbing the guard drop, doesn't need it.
Yeah, our slow climb to more pod keys here is happening. So yeah, 3 now looking even better for a pod dip. So there's got to be something there. We're just running out of options. There's very little on the table left that we haven't seen between our 2 runners here.
Yep, I think this Dark Cross check and then pod itself is pretty much going to be it. Of course, though, I will say about pod, if you're
if you're willing to be exceptionally slow about it and not open that front door, 3 keys can actually full clear you the dungeon, except for the big key lock stuff. And for a question in chat about the Hyrule Castle small key, the vanilla chest for that key is actually Dark Cross. You get it while you're escorting Zelda through the sewers, and it lets you back into the back of the sewers. Of course, since this is Key Sanity, that chest, or that key, is shuffled in the wider item pool, and I think it was just somewhere on Death Mountain, but I forget exactly where.
Yeah, that seems about right.
It's normally just more of a logical novelty than something we actually care about in Key Sanity Seeds.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't think runners are like agonizing over the key logic of Hyrule Castle.
Yeah, but I think Hydrapower from here gonna take those 3 keys to Palace of Darkness. It is, as we said, pretty much all that's left. Meanwhile, Magnit is going to go through the castle and he's going to give us a recap on everything Hydrapower just found. And then join him over in Pod, presumably.
Yeah, given that our runners have done basically all of the same things, we're able to see at this point that Hydra has pulled ahead just a little bit. And, you know, there's definitely ground to be made up here, but it's going to be a little bit tricky. If the way the seed feels at this point for an all dungeon keys kind of seed, it's going to be Magnit Handz is going to have to be like really on it to make all the right calls and execute pretty well. I think it's tough to make up a lot of time in AD keys when a seed looks like this one does, which is that it's kind of funneling our runners into a weird kind of place. But we still got plenty of race to go at this point.
Yeah, we've still got plenty of race. That small key to desert is potentially interesting. But the bulk of the difference at this point, goes back all the way to minute 1. Magnit Handz did the Houlihan opening. And I mean, he's got the extra money from it that has not really come into play because money's been freely available this seed. And just, other than that, took about a minute and a half for that. But the other thing of interest, especially if the Swamp Small Key continues to elude us, Magnit Handz does have that Ice Rod from the very first chest in Swamp Palace. That's the main thing Hydrapower has not done at this point.
Yeah. If we end up having to do TR before Swamp Palace somehow, then that could be an interesting little quirk that might give Magnit a bit of a swing in his direction.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like you said, there is still a lot of game to be played, but that does run both ways, especially in the case of this Ice Rod. Also, did Hydrapower open? I guess Hydrapower must have opened the middle door, right, for Pod?
Looks like it, yeah. Oh, boots? Okay, we're gonna go a little faster, finally.
And there's our fire, finally, too. So yeah, Hydrapower doesn't want to do the exceptionally slow but more thorough clear of Palace of Darkness. Just going to leave behind either that chest on the ledge right there that he's running by, or the Harmless Hellway in the back. Leave behind one, get the other, and then just need two more keys, to fully clear the dungeon. And now the question, I guess,
Do you follow the fire rod to desert or to Skull Woods or even maybe to Ice Palace? We've got some options now.
Yeah, what we found here has kind of kept the seed a little bit more open, which is kind of nice, in that there are options for our runners to take on here, which could help Magnit get into this back into this one a little bit more.
Hydrapower taking the bonk there, but is still fast enough across that bridge that he doesn't fall. Then we'll be able to hammer jump into this sledge here and save the key. And it looks like actually Hydrapower intent on skipping both Harmless Hellway and the big key chest. Gonna save that one key, might be thinking of taking it straight to the boss instead. Well, I say straight to the boss, but coming back with the big key and then going to the boss.
Yeah, I feel like hanging onto one pod key is a pretty nice little safe strategy to play. In the event that, yeah, we do come across the big key and you just want a boss rush, you don't have to go hunting around. Because, I mean, with pod being a pendant, some of these pod keys could be in GT basement, and you do not want to have to dig through GT basement looking for one key to finish the dungeon off.
Yep, and it is a relatively safe skip as well, because all three of those locations, the boss, the Harmless Hellway, and the vanilla big key, they are all locked by 6 keys, basically. Exceptions apply, like if one of those locations has a small key itself, but in general, 6 keys is the logic. Okay, Boots checks first for Hydrapower. Kind of makes me think that Desert's front of mind for him right now. Especially, we know there's a big key on a torch over there.
Yeah, which one could that be? We're missing Misery Mire still. Swamp Palace. Okay, there's only a couple that it could be, I guess. Really, we've collected everything else. All the other big keys, at least.
It could still be Pod itself.
Oh, right, yes. Pod is also missing. Yeah, I see that on the tracker now.
Oh, so one fire source in Pod, the other behind it. Thanks, game.
Yeah, I mean, that seems about right.
Yeah, and just to provide a brief recap for chat here, the mode is Foe All Dungeons Key Sanity, which means that the Ganon's Tower big key is always going to be in the Ganon's Tower basement. And also the Castle Tower small keys are going to be in the Castle Tower itself. No special hunting for any of those 3 keys. And this is important because we do know that there's a small key on the Lumberjack, and we also know there's a big key on the Desert Torch at this point, but the number of big keys added to the left is pretty small. Okay, Magnit burning that last pod key that he's got and getting the Cane of Burna for it. Not super critical when we've already got the magic cake.
It also leaves him with 0 keys for Pod at this point. So if we do have to rush this dungeon, come back and finish the boss off, he's gonna have to find another key somewhere. Likely, we do find one kind of, fairly easily along the way. Swamp Palace is still available to it, or will be available to us a little later. So that's a lot of items before we have to head for GT or anything. So he's likely to come across one at some point, but 0 for him at this point.
Yep. And I mean, it does make that small key on the Lumberjack all the more scary for Magnit, because I don't think Cane of Burna is something that he would really like to have in its place.
Yeah. Some bombs off of Mothula there, and that's another crystal for Hydrapower.
Yep. 4 out of 7 on the crystal count, and 4 out of 12 on the dungeon count. And we'll see if Magnit follows Hydra into Skull Woods here, or if he's going a different route, but it looks like Skull Woods here too.
Yeah, it's a pretty, quick clear. So it makes sense that our runners are both doing this check here. And Hydra give us the pedestal check. Little piece of love.
Yeah, not really useful here, unfortunately.
No, afraid not.
Looks like Desert's going to be the next play for Hydra, cashing in on that guaranteed big key, plus 2 items on the right side of the dungeon and the boss kill. Okay, Mire, Pod, Swamp are the missing big keys here. 2 of those we know we need. Go figure.
Yeah, that's not very nice.
Yeah, Pod giving you multiple reasons to kick you out and tell you to come back later. Lamp in the Bonk Rocks, big key on that torch. No, Lamp is not strictly necessary for these runners, but it's still quite nice.
Yeah, to kind of answer chat here, what we're seeing here, the difference is runners have done basically all the same checks here. Yeah, Ice Rod from Swamp first chest could come into play. That's what Magnit has in hand, I guess, here. But it's just been the way that kind of the routing has gone. Hydra's has just been a little bit cleaner throughout. Everything's just kind of fallen into place a little bit better for him. Which explains just a little bit of the gap that we're seeing at this point. Still plenty of race for that to change, though, but we're getting a little bit down to it, I guess. We're in the back half of the race at this point, I'd say, so remains to be seen what kind of room Magnit can make up at this point.
Yeah, and the really interesting potential for that Ice Rod is that now we do have the Fire Rod, we do have the Cane of Samaria, so really we're looking at that Swamp Palace key potentially being in Turtle Rock. If Swamp Palace small key is in Turtle Rock, then suddenly that Ice Rod becomes a really big deal. Because that just means Magnit would be sparing himself a double dip of that long linear dungeon. So, another big key. And that's the other required one. So the last outstanding big key here is just Swamp Palace, which blocks absolutely nothing but the big quest, or big chest. It's a fetch quest.
So we imagine that Hydrapower is going to immediately flip into Mire here, finish that off as well. So, what we find in this dungeon could be a big swing. If it's the Swamp small key in here that keeps kind of the progression going here, then things are working out still for Hydra. If we find Bombos in here, then TR comes into play, and then, all bets are off, really.
Well, the good news for Hydra is that we do still need the hammer before Turtle Rock can come into play.
I have forgotten that we don't have hammer yet. My goodness. Wow, this late into a seed.
Yeah, because hammer blocks just a huge number of checks. Like, I mentioned Ice Palace earlier as an option for these runners following that Fire Rod out of Pod, but we haven't seen that, and the hammer is exactly why.
Yeah, right, because you can get around to a couple of checks in there, but, like, yuck, you definitely don't want to dip that dungeon without hammer.
Yeah, going in without it all but guarantees that you'll be coming back later unless it's just specifically in there.
Yeah, there could be a lot of kind of like unfortunate, or not, it's just right here, okay.
Okay, Hammer and Mire is always pretty good times, but Hammer and Fire-locked Mire, when both of your fire sources are in or behind pod, that's just silly.
That is pretty silly, yeah.
And we're going to get to not watch the wall move here, but I promise you it is moving. Okay, and actually this is potentially where Hydrapower, having saved that one pod key, could come in pretty big. The only location that gets bitten on that is the vanilla big key chest, because we saw Magnit Handz do the harmless Hellway and it was just Burna.
Yeah, definitely one of the things about key sanity, pod, you know, keeping your keys or burning all your keys, like it's a tough call to make in most seeds. So we'll see how that kind of shakes out, because yeah, having no pod keys doesn't really feel so good.
Yep, but that is exactly the position Magnit Handz is in right now. Now, Hydrapower presumably going to attack Vitreous using the Tempered Sword spin strats, probably the speedrun style damage boost strats here. Could use the cape though, he's got that equipped. But no, not bothering. Oh, not bothering, just going straight for it. Getting right up in there. Oh no. Oh no.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Interesting.
This is an incredibly scary moment for Hydrapower here, and he has no idea that it is.
Yeah, because you know, like, there's no way you're going, I'm going to check first chest in Swamp now. Like, no way.
No, you flew to 1 and you get up that mountain as quickly as you can for, well, I say 1, but we've got the hammer too, so Ice Palace. And actually, the Swamp Palace key being here in Ice Palace would go a long way towards setting Hydrapower straight back on the route here.
Yeah, wow, it would be a lifesaver here, and he wouldn't even realize it. That's crazy.
Yeah, so brief intermission on potential Ice Rod shenanigans here as we see what's in Ice.
Magnit doing a nice job getting through Misery Mire as well here. Just a few seconds away from taking on Vitreous.
Yep. We don't have spooky action, so just hitting all the switches the intended way here. And the Icebreaker clip leads us to a piece of heart.
And we'll let Hydrapower route the dungeon in a very smooth and straight manner, relatively speaking.
Yeah, Icebreaker really changed up everything about how we do Ice Palace. It's great.
Yeah, it completely cut out that long middle section of the dungeon that just had absolutely no checks in it, and it just made everything just come at a very reasonable pace. And there's the Swamp Smoky. So
Wow, bailed out.
Yeah, Hydrapower is fine. He is in very good shape now. Because at this point, I mean, obviously we are still missing one Turtle Rock Small Key to clear the dungeon, which could just be over there on Lumberjack. It's got to be either that or Pod at this point. We have, well, I say that. We're missing Skullwoods and Ganon's Tower keys too, though. But regardless, I mean, there is that small key up there. We are missing one Turtle Rock Small Key to clear the dungeon. We are actually in item go mode here. So for Hydrapower, actually, that Ice Rod and Swamp that he's presumably going to get in pretty short order here after Ice Palace. Okay, just Skullwoods, not Turtle Rock. So that Ice Rod will be item go mode for Hydrapower, and he'll just need a Turtle Rock Small Key. Magnit Handz has that Ice Rod, is actually in item go mode, but is missing the Swamp Small that he's gonna get in pretty soon here out of Ice, and is also missing Turtle Rock Small Key.
And also the Pod Small is still something that he's missing as well, which is
Oh,
gonna be a
right, yeah.
problem.
Magnit does need another one of those. You know, if you're Magnit, do you just, after you get your Swamp Small out of here, do you go kill Aghanim for that one small key? Because you know if it's Turtle Rock or if it's Pod, you're good. And if
Ooh.
not, you still had to kill Aga anyways.
That's a thought, yeah.
I feel like you probably still do Swamp first, but you do Aga before anything else unless you find another key in Swamp.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so nothing else of note here in Ice Palace. Hydrapower going to probably move on right over to Swamp Palace.
Yeah, but even with nothing else of note, that Swamp Big Key is a huge reward on its own.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then on top of that, you can loop it in with the Pyramid Fairy as well, actually. I completely let that slip out of mind, but that is there as well, has been for a while.
Yeah, it was always kind of inconvenient, I think, because of the lack of hammer. But now it's just fully in, nothing stopping our runners from checking that location now.
Yeah, Hammer made it out of logic, but I believe it was doable with some duping shenanigans there. But just no reason to do so when it was just completely out of logic and other checks were just a lot better.
Yeah, so Magnit Handz is not too far behind. You know, this little gap that we're seeing here, I mean, we still have to find the GT big key once we get up there. So, I mean, that routing will also kind of factor in potentially.
Yep, GT big key, and then just potentially the hunt for that last Turtle Rock small key if it's not just here in the swamp.
Ooh, really nice kill on a cold stare there by Magnit.
Yeah, it got a little bit out of the corner there and away from the sword, but was able to use the fire rod to clean them all up pretty much just as quickly. So, very good. Very, very good.
No, looks like we are going to have the runners once again converging on Swamp Palace. Just because the only alternative is the Turtle Rock that we're still missing a small key to fully complete. And yeah, just as a brief reminder for Chad, especially because for some, like just by sheer coincidence, we've actually had less of this mode restreamed than other modes, like disproportionately so. But this is all dungeons, Key Sanity. We do have to complete all the pendant dungeons as well as the castle tower, and the usual crystals plus agate 2.
Yeah, it's a pretty thorough game mode. It goes, it takes you through pretty much everything.
Yep, and it does have a couple of adjustments around the Ganon's Tower big key always being in Ganon's Tower, Aghanim's Tower, Castle Tower, small key is always being in that tower. But that keeps it from just evolving into very silly single item hunts at the end.
Yeah, we've tried to find a way to kind of make the game mode just a little bit more streamlined without taking, the key sanity element completely out of the picture here. So hopefully it's doing its job and is making this mode a fun one for our runners.
For now, we haven't seen anything in Swamp Palace, but Hydrapower did skip the left side. I would expect him to go back in, but I really don't know.
Yeah, do you, Omega gamble and, assume that there's a TR key in TR? I don't know.
I feel like if you're Hydrapower and you're doing that, then you go kill Helmasaur first at the very least.
Oh, right, and TR is a pendant, so, it could be GT, which I'm also seeing in chat there. A GT TR key, that's also not fun.
Yeah, we do have 7 crystals now. So I'm gonna guess, based on Hydrapower not going back in, this is gonna be a Pyramid Fairy and then go back and finish Pod. And then probably GT.
Yeah, I think that seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah, GT versus Turtle Rock is just how much are you willing to gamble on that Turtle Rock key? But yeah, I completely forgot that Swamp Palace was our 7th crystal when I was thinking go back in, but...
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and then Chad also reminding that we could potentially just make an Aga play off the back of this Pyramid Fairy. And there is that small key up in the Lumberjack. At this point, it's 3 chances for it to be Pod, 2 for it to be Turtle Rock, and 1 for it to be Skull Woods. And then 2 for it to be Ganon's Tower as well, I guess. But it looks like... Yeah.
Hydra's going to be doing, Aga Tower here.
Normally, you try to see runners put this off until after Ganon's Tower, just because Ganon's Tower spits you out right on top of the pyramid, and you can mirror right to it, and then Castle Tower spits you out also on top of the pyramid, just dropped into the fight. But if you've got a reason to do it sooner, such as an unknown key on the Lumberjack, go for it. Meanwhile, Magnet's taking Save and Quit out of Swamp there, not going back in for the left, and not going for Pyramid Fairy.
This is going to make everything seem all out of sorts here. Magnet Handz is going to go right for GT here, it looks like. I would imagine, at least. If he finds keys really quickly, this could work out entirely for him.
Yeah, it's if he doesn't find the keys quickly or doesn't find them at all, that it suddenly becomes a big problem.
Oh, yes.
But statistically, this is more likely to be where Magnit wants to go than Castle Tower is.
I think based on the pace of this seed, I don't think either runner's going to feel like too bad about how they've been playing. I don't think like this isn't like a super desperation play on Magnit Handz' part here. I mean, an hour 30 and you're looking at heading into GT is pretty decent. So yeah, let's see if he decides to go for TR at all, or if he's just going to go right for GT. Yeah, GT, got it.
Yeah, and this is the numbers gameplay here. I think it makes total sense.
Yeah, he knows. Especially in his case, he's looking for 2 keys. Like I think you got to go where it's the most dense set of checks.
And that, I mean, you've got like 20 items in GT. So if you want density, hard to top this place. Did Hydra open up with 3 blue balls on that?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I think it was actually only 2 when I said it, but then the 3rd happened anyways.
Yeah, right. You willed it into existence there.
Okay, first one of each set of 5 is guaranteed to be a regular shot. There we go. Not getting the max there. Also, chat raising a good point. We do have the Hera basement we still yet to see, and that's a one-off check as well. Okay, there's the GT big key. The Magnit cannot stop checking. He still needs 2 small keys. He needs Pod, he needs Turtle Rock. And yeah, we see left side of GT basement, even with the big key already in hand.
Yep.
Hydra taking the Whirlpool. Oh, to Lumberjack, duh. Because there's no good flute spot in the Northern Light World. So flute to 8 and take the Whirlpool is actually your fastest way here.
So yeah, we're gonna find out here pretty quickly whether or not this is the game breaker.
It's Turtle Rock, Hydra Power's in go mode.
Ooh,
No.
It's not.
This doesn't hurt Hydra Power that bad because he had to kill Aga at some point anyways.
Yeah, he might just be giving up the time to do this lumberjack check, but other than that, he's still doing pretty good. He's going to finish off everything else that he can before GT here, unlike Magnit Handz. So he's going to be doing the end of Pod here as well.
Okay, Magnit Handz got the Pod key. So, hoping for Magnit Handz that the Turtle Rock key is now deeper in the basement.
Yeah, right. If he's got going to force a Hydra to dig deeper into GT, that works for him, I think.
Yeah, especially since he's already done all the digging, and B, the big key is on the other side. It was in the compass room. So, like, if you're playing both sides of GT Basement and your opponent is forced to as well just because of that key, then that's good for you. But we are not that many checks left for a Turtle Rock small key to show up here.
Yeah, unless Magnit just goes right up GT at this point and then hopes that there's one up there in the final 4 chests.
Yeah, that is possible as well. And I mean, key is just as likely to be there as it is anywhere else at this point.
This is making for some pretty tough end game decisions here. You're just racing towards the finisher. You want to see the finish line, and you've got like these little things you got to consider about how you want to route the last couple dungeons of the game. It's tough.
Yeah, and it's made twice as tough just by the fact that you're still not in go mode at this point. Unfortunate for Magnit Handz here. He doesn't need that extra pod small key.
I mean, unless it's vanilla big key chest in pod, which everyone is going to skip until the last possible moment.
That is true, yeah. If one of the TR small keys is there, then could be. And if the other one's in the pod big chest specifically, then that would be really interesting / silly as well.
This seed really seemed like it was like pretty close to the finish, but this end game is really something else. Just the things that the one thing that we are missing here has just kind of caused a weird setup. Of course it's in the dungeon.
Magnit Handz is in go mode. He's the first one there. Hydrapower's still looking for that Turtle Rock key. He's still going to be making checks until he gets to Turtle Rock itself. And with Magnit Handz already having cleared the GT basement, that's probably worth just as much time as the pod clear that Hydrapower has.
Yeah, I don't know how this is going to shake out. I feel like Hydra probably is still okay, but I mean, now Magnit's not going to be doing Lumberjack or, Pyramid Fairy, so... Ooh, he's making time back!
Yeah, Magnit is in really good shape. I'm gonna say if Hydrapower goes to Ganon's Tower, full clears the basement, then I think Magnit might actually be slightly ahead. It would be slight, but I think that's where it's at.
Yeah, it's kind of really turned things around here.
On the other hand, if Hydrapower goes straight into Turtle Rock instead of GT here, then he is in really, really good shape, already having both Pod and Castle Tower done, and not needing to full clear the GT basement.
Well, we're going to find out very soon, kind of like how this might all shake out here. Hydrapower, if he does decide to dip TR, then that might be game set for him. But yeah, that's a tough call to make. You know, when you've got GT just kind of sitting there.
Right. The other thing to keep in mind here, we are playing a best of 3. Hydrapower is down a game. He needs to win this, stay alive in the tournament, force game 3. He's going to open the dungeon here, but that's not really indicative of whether he's going to go in. He'd do that regardless. Hydra's going in.
What is this God vision here? Amazing.
Yeah, he is about to get very, very well rewarded for this.
There we go.
Yep, that is go mode for Hydrapower, like 138, which is a good couple minutes behind Magnit getting into go mode. But that couple minutes doesn't really mean much of anything in the face of Hydra already having completed Palace of Darkness and Castle Tower. Map of Hyrule Castle is functionally the last check of the game for us because the only reason at this point to open those upstairs GT chests is for silver arrows. Yeah, I mean, I don't think either runner really needs those, especially with Tempered in hand.
Yeah, I mean, a Magnet's on Butter even, which I think he scored in the right side of GT.
Yeah, same room as the big key. So Magnit back into Ganon's tower here. Didn't have to lose time on an extra mountain climb here. And can just straight rush to the finish. But Hydrapower on the same rush with a bit of a head start.
Alrighty, so I don't know how to get the chatbot stuff to pop up for the tournament, but if you're enjoying the match so far, we're down to our bracket stage of this tournament here. So be sure to check out the Discord for all the latest on how this tournament is going. And if you want to be a volunteer, we're always looking for people to join our ranks here. We have some exciting matches coming up, and we'd like to see a lot of them get put on restreams. So, look at being a volunteer. And if you already are signed up to be a volunteer, that's great. We hope you can sign up for some matches and get more of these out here, because it's a lot of fun to be here in the booth. And we'd love to have you join us.
Yep, really is just good times here, and the races are only getting more heated and higher stakes from here. Like, this is a round of 64 match here. I think they're gonna play game 3 here. Well, presumably play game 3 if Hydrapower holds with the advantage he's got. But regardless, winner of this best of 3 gets a round of 32 match against Structural Mike. And then looking ahead on the bracket, the next matchup after that would be a Dr. Bowser or Artie Walsh, 2 more pretty tough competitors. And that would be a round of 16, so everything is only getting more intense from here as we cut down the number of runners.
Yeah, it's always exciting stuff. Once we get down to it here in the latter stages of the bracket here, we see such excellent play from all of these runners here. Both Hydra and Magnet have done a great job today. These are really quick times, that we're seeing here on a tough, game mode here, and these guys have just handled it super well, even with the seed that was kind of awkward to kind of figure out at first. So many great runners in the community, and as we get down to the final stages, like it's more exciting than ever. So I'm really hyped to see how this one shakes out this year.
Yep, and we do have now Magnet Handz is opening chests at the top again in tower. That one being right in the way, but is going to kill Moldworm here. And then after that, still has to go track down and kill both Helmasaur King and Aghanim. And Hydrapower here, checking chests because looking for a big key. And is going to go to the right side. I do think that even if this were a non-keys mode, that Small Key and Hope Room would probably push him in this direction. But
yeah, definitely.
It's just kind of funny to see coincidences like that stack up.
Yeah, if that had been a keyless Hope Room, then that would have, given Magnet a bit more time to catch up potentially here. So, things working out.
I do think Hydra would have gone this direction anyways with the small keys he already had.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, of course. We already had a nice little inventory built up of keys.
Right. Big key's still in Ganon's tower. Small keys have been pretty much everywhere.
I forget the rules sometimes. I don't know what's wrong with my brain.
But we do see Hydrapower here not looking for anything else once he's found that big key. He's just going to climb the tower. Meanwhile, Magnit Handz, I think that was, what, 3 cycles on Aga 2, which is great. But gonna have to mirror here to go kill Aghanim again. And then also run over to Pod, then run back to the... Well, I say run back, more likely just save and quit back to the top of the pyramid.
Yeah, that's why he's doing it in this order for sure.
Yeah, this is definitely the right order to minimize the time here.
I always find it funny in game modes like AD keys here, where, you know, we're checking so many things. You know, there's very little that our runners have actually skipped, and yet somehow we don't have silver arrows. Like, why don't we have, like, everything? We should have all of the things.
Yeah, I will say in this particular case, both runners did skip pretty much all of Turtle Rock because we weren't hunting it for the keys.
That's true.
So silver arrows probably just there, if I had to guess. But also, like, we didn't see left side swamp either. We didn't see the vanilla big key chest in pod. Still a few locations left. But
Yeah.
to have something like the silver arrows stand out as missing is always interesting.
Yeah, the only other thing that we haven't seen, powder and the blue boomerang. Silver Sahara basement. Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, that would be another great place for him. Good news is, once Hydrapower kills Aga 2, drops down into Ganon, well, I mean, he will tell us where they are.
That is true, he will. You know, I gotta say that this, the Aga 1 fight, right at the end of your run here, is always super, I don't know, stressful, annoying. There's something about it where you're just like, I want to get into the Ganon fight. Like, I just want to be done with this run, and this guy just takes forever, it feels like.
Yeah, especially in the first phase here where he just keeps throwing the blue balls out, and it's just, come on, man. It's the same thing like when you get a lot of warps in a Ganon fight, but taken up to 11 or so. Just feels even worse because you know Ganon is still waiting for you after.
Yeah, definitely.
Meanwhile, though, we did see while Magnit Handz was taking all the blue balls there, Hydrapower did take a Moldorm fall, but got back up, got it the second time.
Alrighty, Aga 1 down. Still a little too much time to get out to pod and back, I think, unfortunately, for Magnit Handz here.
Yeah, but still going to be real close and definitely like closer finish than Hydra not having the full clear GT basement versus Magnit doing so, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely a testament to how well Magnit has played this seed in general, that the gap is going to be closer than that when that's the real easy thing to point to as a time difference.
Mm-hmm.
That is Aga 2 down for Hydrapower. That is the last dungeon done. Gonna drop right into the Ganon fight here.
Alrighty, so we've got the butter sword. It should be a pretty easy fight here.
Yep. Just have to wait on that Triton to start spinning for phase 2 to actually start. And use the hook shot there for iframes. And free and easy 1 cycles.
So again, is cooperating here in phase 3. Not too many warps either.
Yep. The arrows in the light world. What did, magic that, I guess?
Ooh, yeah.
And I mean, with both Mirror and Hammer being as late as they were, Fake Powder was always going to be a super awkward thing this seed. I guess there's also Mimic Cave as Light World as well. Although I think that's actually Death Mountain, not Light World, I think, right?
Could be right there, yeah.
Regardless, Hydrapower getting the spins on here. Magnet Handz making good use of that Burna just to get through that last turtle room before Helmasaur.
Alrighty, and that's going to do it. Hydrapower is going to finish up this seed, take the win, and push this series to a Game 3. Get your GGs in the chat for Hydrapower.
Yep, that is a time of 1:50 and 27 seconds there for Hydrapower. Because we had somewhat synchronized boss kills there with Hydrapower's being Ganon, unfortunately, for Magnit. But now Magnit just going to save and quit here. That'll dump him right on top of the pyramid, and he can drop into his own Ganon fight.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too long. Or, I thought he was maybe going to... Nah, he's going to finish it up. Right on. Yeah, so Game 3 hype. I imagine it's not on the schedule yet, but you know, keep an eye out for that. It will be up, you know, sometime soon. These guys are going to figure that out. They've already run the Mick Boss, and so now this here, all dungeons key sanity. So we've got the kind of the standard, the boots mode. We've got open and ambrosia kind of on the table for these guys. It looks like.
Yeah, I think the boss shuffle will be possible, but relatively unlikely. Just off the top of my head. And we do have Magnet Handz with that gold sword. Absolutely tore through the first 3 phases, just like Hydra there. Got the Light World Silver Synth that we're not going to do anything about. Just going to keep spinning and kill Ganon.
Yeah, we're almost there, folks.
Yeah, I think we'll, just 4-ish more. Oh, was that like a silverless, like a dash poke hit? That was cool.
That was kind of cool.
Like, normally when you're doing this fight without the silver arrows, you do spins, because all that matters is that the spin overlaps when Ganon's vulnerable. Well, with a slash, you have to be a lot more precise with it, but that worked very well. And that is going to be GG's for Magnet Handz as well.
We'll see if we can get our runners in here for a quick little interview. It looks like they might be in the setup room, and we'll bring them on in.
Yeah, welcome, and GG's Magnit, and congratulations, Hydrapower.
Thank you. Thank you very much, GG.
GG's.
I guess opening thoughts. What did we think of that one? Either one of you go right on ahead and just see what you thought about it.
I managed to escape, I guess. I really hate this move, so and I have no idea how to play it, and I guess I played it well enough to win. So I don't know. But game 3, we're probably gonna get Ambrosia, and I don't know how to play that either. So then I'll get stopped there, I think.
Yikes. It was a pretty interesting race for us to follow here. There was a lot of divergence early on between you guys. Then it all kind of like, bottlenecked and funneled in. And then we had this kind of like flourish at the end where it could have gone either way. It was kind of like flip-flopping back and forth where it was looking for the TR small key was kind of the key piece. And Hydra, you jumping into TR there was kind of the thing that saved your race there, because Magnit went in and got it, and we were like, oh, okay, so that's where that key's going to be. And we were worried that Hydra, you were going to head over to GT and dig deep into the basement there looking for the key. So that was kind of like the way that it looked from our end there.
Yeah, I committed to doing the first 2 rooms of Turtle Rock because you got to do those rooms anyway. And I'm like, beyond that point, oh well, I'll come back some other time. And I about fell out of my chair when I found the small keys. I'm like, oh my god, dude, it's that. That's what I need, So I figured that was like, oh, okay, that's huge. I don't know what Magnet's up to or what his key situation is, and that saves a whole bunch of time. And then I didn't do my normal Gans Tower routing, which is hope left, like I'm in 2017. I'm like, nope, I already got keys. Let's go right. Let's not be dumb. And it was there, and I was like, oh my god, I'm not dumb. So yeah, there was a lot that saved my bacon in this one, but because everything else just seemed to bog down in junk, like Fireless Misery Mire was nothing, and then I'm doing like Hera, and then I get, oh, here's the keys that you missed when you didn't have this first time around. It was just like so much junk, and walking over to pod, and the pod logic was so dumb because to get the hammer you gotta go get your boots, and then you gotta go get your fire rod, and it's just like, you guys are dumb. So yeah, it was crazy. So I'm sure it was very exciting to watch. I'll have to watch it back and see just how the shenanigans went.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Magnit, any kind of thoughts on how you ran the seed? Any?
Well, great till pod.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say, because it's like you're still looking for a swamp key, and it's like, okay, now I gotta think like cross keys for 80 keys. Save your key. Okay, great. See you game 3. That's literally how I feel. Like I'm just ready for game 3.
Dude, yeah, I know. We were, when we saw you burn that last key to pick up Cane of Burna out of Harmless Hellway, we were like, damn, that really sucks, because you dug out the ice rod from first chest of Swamp, and we thought, oh, this is going to be like a real thing that's gonna work out in your favor, and then the way that the seed kind of ran itself after that, with the Swamp small being where it was, that didn't end up being too much of a big deal, but early on we thought that was going to make all the difference. But yeah, the pod keys, man, that really does suck for you. When do you think?
Every time I lose in FAD keys, like the last time I lost was in League, when we had it in League, and I lost because of linearness and pod. So
same thing again, pretty much.
I'm not really feeling it right now. I'm not gonna lie. I joined because I wanted to be a good sport and Hydra won, but I'm tight right now, and we'll be meeting up for game 3 tomorrow at 4. So
about 24 hours from now. So everybody tune in for that, and hopefully it's another good one. But yeah, we're gonna get that scheduled here.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just saying we're about to get that scheduled here for tomorrow, about 24 hours from now. So it should be good. Magnet's a great player, and he is a cool dude. I know he's like really hot right now, so I'm feeling the heat right now. But he is a cool dude and a great player. And we had a great series last year too in the Casual Boots tournament. So it looks like it's shaping up to be another barn burner for sure. But I want to thank you guys for your comms tonight, Reg and Savo, and tracking as well from Demon's Druid, and everything that goes into making these tournaments happen, because there's a lot going on behind the scenes, as you obviously know, to make it happen. So thanks everybody involved, and we will see you guys very soon.
Yeah, for sure. So we won't keep you guys any longer. Then we get that the emotions get kind of hot, and yeah, it sucks when you lose. And so yeah, we'll leave it there with you guys. Game 3 tomorrow, 4 o'clock. You heard that here. So best of luck to both of you in Game 3. It should be exciting. This has been a great series to watch. So yeah, we'll leave it at that for you guys. GG's on today's race, and then we'll just kind of do our little wrap up here.
All right. Thank you very much. Take care, guys.
Cool. Okay, so that's gonna do it for this broadcast. Yeah, a close race. It's gonna come down to Game 3 tomorrow. So really exciting stuff. Definitely keep your eye on the schedule for that. If it gets picked up for a restream, we really hope that it does, because these guys are great. So follow the runners as well. They're awesome. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this one, Reg. What do you think? It was a crazy race.
It was definitely crazy. Yeah, a lot happening on both sides. Definitely one that could have gone really either way. Like, the finish times were close, but the race itself was even closer than that. So Game 3, definitely one to look forward to from these two.
Right on. So that's going to do it for us here on Speed Gaming. Thanks to our tracker, Demons Druid. Thanks for clicking those buttons, buddy. We really appreciate that. Thanks again to our runners, to everyone here in the crowd today. We thank you for tuning in. Yeah, and thanks to my co-com Reg. Thanks for joining me in the booth, buddy. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely was. Glad I could be here for it. Glad that I was able to do it with you.
Alrighty, so that's going to do it. We're going to end things here. So check the schedule for more matches. There's probably a bunch on for the rest of today and then on through the week. So keep it locked here on Speed Gaming and ALTTPR, or ALTTP randomizer for all your Link to the Past randomizer tournament action. I've been Seven Hender. Thanks for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.
Yep. We'll see you guys some other race.